what terrifies me? If the fear is a terrifying fear, then what is it that terrifies you? If you could, literally describe it, what it would be, it's usually going to fall into one of these 6 areas, which I'll identify for you. But it might be fall outside of that. But usually, it's the fear of failure. It's what happens if I fail. And for many people, it's very scary because they failed and they've got scars and they don't want to fail. They want to lose again. And so it might be a fear of failure for some of you. It might be the fear of embarrassment. So to be embarrassed means you're doing something foolish in front of people and you're making a fool of yourself. And people laugh. Some people who have fear of public speaking, they try and then they blub it and flub it, and they get this terrified fear of public speaking. And it started when they were in public school, and they tried to do a public speaking class or at the university or something, and they blew it, and they've been afraid of fear of public speaking ever since. And I love those fears. Those are easy to fix because it's all about a memory. It's about an experience that you've had, and you can change that memory. People tell you can't change your past because the past is the past. I'm sorry, you can. You can change the way you remember the past, because the way you remember it is not the way it really happened anyway, because there are all kinds of other people's experiences all around you. So the way it really, really happened is just the way you remember it. And you can fix the way you remember it by just scrambling it up. And I don't have time to go into that. But when I have a seminar and I say, who's afraid of public speaking? And I get these people raise their hands kind of tentatively. And I say, come on up the front of the room. And I bring them up the room and they are terrified. And it's fun, actually, because I know how easy it is to fix. And they don't. And they're terrified. And I get them to stand facing away from everybody. So they go to look at the audience, which terrifies them. And I take them through a simple NLP experience. Some of you studied NLP before. And literally within a couple of minutes, they're turning around, looking at the audience and talking like I'm talking to you, just talking one-to-one. And it's stunning to see. What I'm trying to say is sometimes your fears come from an experience that you had that now you keep reliving in the same way over and over again. And therefore, as you look into the future and imagine yourself doing that thing, all you have is all the past memory of you being terrified about that experience. And as you look into the future, you just see as far as you can see in the future as being terrified by that same experience. What if you could fix the past so that when you look into the future, you don't see that terrified experience anymore? You don't see that failure or that embarrassment, that rejection, The A stands for abandonment. And that means FOMO. That means fear of being left behind, fear of missing out, fear of not being picked. We're out on a team where they were choosing up sides. I don't know if you know what that's like, but I know what that's like in public school, where they picked everybody but me until the very last. I was the last picked kid. And abandonment means just like everybody's running off ahead. And why is it that everybody's making all this money? How come everybody's so successful? I'm stuck, and especially in a group like this, has hundreds of people in it. And you got some of them are just killing it. And others of them are going, I just can't seem to get myself off the dime. What the heck is the matter with me? And that's the fear of rushing everybody, all these successful ones off ahead of you. You're going to grow in your own path. You're going to take your own time. It's going to be your way. You're going to get there. But if you're a fear of being abandoned, then that's when you start talking to yourself. You start beating yourself up. Does it do you any good to beat yourself up? Zero good. Your critical voice beats you up constantly. Do you know what I'm talking about here? So that critical voice is not your friend. Doesn't want you to win. So don't listen to it. Or if you do listen to it, recognize that what good are you trying to accomplish, Mr. Critical Voice, Mrs. Critical Voice? What are you trying to do? How are you trying to help me? I'm not trying to help you. But if you were, how would you do? I'm trying to teach you to be, to get busy, whatever. Critical voice is part of the things you have to overcome. So fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. Yeah, it's a biggie. We hate to get rejected. So we imagine ourselves going up to talk to somebody and they reject us. How does that feel? Well, it depends on whether you're an entrepreneur or not. If you're an entrepreneur, you go, watch me. Meaning, if you reject me, I want you to know that that doesn't hurt me. It actually empowers me. Now, if I was an employee-minded person and you rejected me, I would think it was my fault, and I would blame myself. And I would hunker down in my little secure inner circle zone, my zone of my comfort zone. I would hunker down in there, and I wouldn't, venture out across the wall of fear into the danger zone. See, that's the way employees think. Everything outside their comfort zone is the danger zone. Well, you and I know it's not the danger zone. It's actually the opportunity zone, because that's where all the opportunity is. So we think it's a green zone. We think it's great. We think we want to go out there. We want to be challenged. Alan, we want to be pushed. When somebody tells us we can't do it, we want to go, watch me. But if you're an employee-minded person and somebody says you can't do it, you believe them. You go, yeah, you're right. I suck. There's no way I could do it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I'll just stay here and make small, slow money for the rest of my life, going through 5 or 10 different jobs and starting at the beginning of all those jobs and ending up at the end of my life with really nothing. Yeah, that's the life I choose, inside my comfort zone. No, we don't choose that life. We choose the life of freedom, which means the freedom to fail, the freedom to be rejected, the freedom to be abandoned, the freedom to be embarrassed, the freedom to be rejected, to fail, and the freedom to succeed. Sometimes people are afraid because they're afraid, what if I do succeed? Will I lose all my friends? Yeah, you will. You will. Yeah, but these are my friends, Well, the average of your 10 best friends is how much you earn. So is that the kind of friends you want around you? No, you want to hang with Pace. He's the friend you want to have because he makes 100 times more than the people that are around you, your so-called friends. So yeah, you're going to lose them. But it doesn't mean you can't see them from time to time, but you're going to get new friends, and they're going to be ones that push you and stretch you and encourage you and say, attaboy, attagirl. They'd be kind of people that are around you want to have around you, rather than the friends, the so-called friends that go, what are you doing? What's the matter? Why don't you go get a job? What? Yeah, come on, let's go have a drink. What are you talking about? You don't want those kind of friends, do you? So it's one of these 6 or 5, one of these 5, or maybe it's your own, version of those fears. Generally speaking, it's one of these 5. And then how did you learn which of these 5 you would identify with? How did you learn it? Did you learn it by just osmosis, like being in society? Sometimes we just pick up attitudes from the environment, from where we live. And the people around us kind of seem to be kind of afraid to take risks, so we kind of pick that up, just by osmosis. Or was it because of one bad experience or several bad experiences that created this intense emotional experience? Whereas just thinking about going knocking on somebody's door and asking them what their property is for sale for, and or talking to a banker. Maybe you just got turned down by a banker and they just sniveled at you, and you just like, boy, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to borrow money from anybody else again. I'm going to make my own money, and I'm going to do it by myself. And you can't do that, can you? You have to borrow money. You have to borrow money. You got to borrow lots of it. You got to borrow money from people with the money. You got to borrow their cash, their credit, their collateral, their you got to borrow the 4 C's.